Yes.
Yeah, to add to that, I think I sort of feel for the one who asked the question because we had the same problem, right? I think I sort of agree. It's a cultural way that people here in the region isn't very open, so it takes a certain amount of time, right? And this is where the Scrum Master actually plays a role to get all of the team members to own up. I think I spent around 4 months to actually to get the team member to own their process. That this is your process. This is you control how you want to build it, right? Yes. Yeah. I sort of agree with the question. It is a valid concern, right? Yeah.
Of course, it's valid, right? Yes.
I am Dr. Syed. I am from Institute for Customer Relationship Management here in England. I have come here for getting answer to two questions which have been put up in the agenda here. What is the role of project manager in the Scrum environment? I believe there is no project manager in Scrum. It is product owner and the Scrum master. And the project manager role is split between these two roles. I want to find out whether I am right. The product owner and the Scrum Master are going to steer the team into the right direction to achieve productivity.
Yeah, that's first question. Question number one. Okay. That's question number two.
Question number two, probably I would ask. The second one is: does Scrum handle fixed price contract well? What is the pricing model suitable for Malaysian customers? I understand from this discussion, time and material is the way to go because first 3 weeks you work with a software contractor, whether you got the synergy and chemistry, like Vernon was saying, they first hired for 3 weeks and they are going on for 2 years because the chemistry is right with the contractor and they understand that the team delivers whatever the business owner wants.
That is Vernon model.
Yeah.
Courting first before getting married. Okay, who wants to take the questions?
I'll take the first one.
Yeah.
What's the role of a project manager and in an agile environment? And I'm going to give from my perspective. From a smaller projects, when we've got small to medium projects, the management aspect of it is split among the three roles. So the team is self-managed, self-organized. The product owner has the ROI, and he ensures that the team delivers and he liaises with business and so on and so forth. And then the Scrum Master is from a process perspective. He ensures that Agile or the team and all the roles are doing Agile well. So management or project management aspect is split among the three roles, and therefore a project manager has no role in a Scrum perspective. But when it comes to very large projects and where Agile makes sense to apply, yeah, and you've got a lot of teams, and of course, when it comes to software development, then that is also within the team where again the Scrum team self-organize, the product owner and Scrum Master and so on and so forth. In a large project, there's more than software development. They've got contract negotiation, procurement, and so on and so forth, interaction between departments, security, etc. And pulling all those together is in my perspective, for very large project manager plays quite an important role. And of course, how to differentiate traditionally when a project manager runs a project, he ensures or he controls right down. But then this is differentiating in the terms of controlling or managing at which level. So in terms of a very large project, project manager, in my perspective, does play a role at a higher level and overseeing the whole project as a whole.
So words are important, and the answer to your first question is yes, you're right. In Scrum, there is no project manager role. That gets separated fundamentally between those three roles, as Celine was just saying. But you ask in Scrum. Too many people think that Scrum equals Agile and Agile equals Scrum, and that's not the case at all. Scrum is one approach to agility. It is not the only approach. And actually, the Scrum approach to agility, one of the reasons that I think it's although it's widely conceptually adopted, it's almost never really adopted, is because it is extreme. It's asking you to do things that are so different from anything that's similar to what you've been doing that the delta of change is huge. And you run across the problems then with culture and values that are so outside of your operating parameters that everybody changes Scrum. They still call it Scrum, but it's not at all. But to answer your question directly, yes, you're right. There are other approaches to Agile, like feature-driven development, which is the first approach that I became familiar with. And in feature-driven development, guess what? We have this role called project manager. And so different approaches play by different rules. The Scrum rules say this role is split, or the activities of this role are split amongst these three Scrum roles. Other approaches to Agile, like FDD, the project manager remains part of that formula very directly. Yeah, so the answer to your first question is yes, although I said a lot more than that. The answer to your second question is, I think I also responded to earlier, which is fixed cost is fine, assuming that the scope really doesn't change. You get your scope, you get it at your cost, and just like traditional projects, if I misestimate it, I end up eating something, right? The idea that we can throw more people at a project, the Mythical Man Month applies traditional Scrum, it's the same. Thinking that we're going to throw more people at a project doesn't necessarily mean it gets done earlier. But as long as scope doesn't change, being able to predictably say when it's going to be delivered and how much it's going to cost, not a problem. There's no problem with fixed cost projects in Scrum. The problem is really there's no such thing as fixed scope. And so if we're swapping scope of equal effort, then again, the cost doesn't have to change at all. It just means that I'm taking one thing out of the box, I'm putting something else in, so the contents of the box changed, the price that we're charging for what was in the box, no change at all. And so Scrum works fine with fixed time or fixed cost. In fact, I will always propose it works 100% better because traditionally, if you follow a waterfall approach, you really don't know that things are going to integrate or that what delta of lack of quality you're going to find until you get to the very end. And by then you have a very short runway to try to make any kinds of adjustments or adaptations. Since with an iterative approach, I'm delivering early and often, you know exactly where you stand. You're not tracking a percentage of the project done. You're looking at real software that somebody can actually use. And so you know when you hit a dollar amount, you know when you hit a time. There is a real system that is really ready to be released. In fact, it was ready to be released a long, long time ago. So yeah, that is a longer-winded response to your second question as well.
Yes, any taker? Where are you? Louder, please.
Knowledge is valuable. So I always tell people, often people come up to me in my CSM class and say, hey, should I take the PMP as well? And I'll tell them, I think all knowledge is valuable. But to be honest, a lot of the things that you learn, especially if you have a control mentality, then instead of being somebody that's enabling Scrum, you're an impediment to Scrum. You shouldn't be there. Yeah, and so a lot of the things I think that people learn and take away relative to thinking about controlling actually creates a negative value. But that's not universally true. I think that people, individuals and interactions are most important, and people who have broad knowledge and are able to apply that effectively within a framework of value can provide a lot of value to Scrum. But it's about the individual and the way the individual is able to incorporate that knowledge. It has nothing to do with having 3 letters behind their name.
Well, I mean, there was an interesting questions asked about the role of PMP between the Scrum practice. I want to take you to the different perspective that actually the role of Scrum Master between the project. Often enough, unless you are doing a pure software development, software products, which sometimes is not the case, you may be asked to undertake an IT project, which involve hardware, involve change management, involve trainings, involve networkings, and so on. And there may be maybe one piece of the software require you to be on top of the hardware in a very short time frame. So with that, I do see Scrum may play a role for the software component. However, overall, the project still need to be managed by a proper trained project managers. As what my counter panelist mentioned, a project goes beyond the product you are delivering. The project involves many stakeholders. There will be politics, there will be money. Even the project sponsor may change during the journey. Even your company you are working for may be acquired. The contractor you engage may be run into financial difficulties. All these questions has to be anticipated before the project manager agree to uptake the project. So I do see there is an opportunity for Scrum Master to work for a project managed by PMP, but perhaps not the other way around. You know? I want to touch on a point also. Many people, perhaps I misled you to talk about the fixed price contract. I have difficulty to find contractors and so on. If you study the PMP certification program well, you must understand what are the fundamentals behind a fixed price contract. Fundamental for fixed price contract is for the buyer to transfer cost increment risk to the seller. Is to transfer risk in the case of buyer, the seller underestimate the effort plus money. However, if you are the seller, you must also understand you enter into the fixed price contract under the circumstances of fixed scope. Right? Many of you purchase apartment houses in Klang Valley on fixed price terms, right? Did the property developer, upon contract signing, ask you, what do you want? No, right? They are seller. But today, I urge all of you who are seller, vendors, how many of you, upon contract signing, first activity, project kickoff, second activity, collect requirement. So your company enter into a fixed price legal relationship with an open scope. And my message to you is good luck. So how do you overcome the situation customer do not know what they want? And they ask you to collect the requirement for you, for them, right? Sometimes you get into that. The solution to that is break the project into 2 parts. The first part, you coming in as a consultant to help the customer to collect the requirements, right? On time and material. Once the scope statement is created, then you supply a fixed price contract to the customer. However, this may not be viable, especially if you are in engineering type of projects. The person who collects the requirement cannot be the contractor because there is a conflict of interest out there. So you have to see, have to judge whether your customer is very particular on the terms of what we call conflict of interest. The consultant also play the role of contractor. Or you bite the bullet to sign the fixed price contract with an open scope. Both are equally challenged.
Okay, it's past 1 already, so I will just allow another 1 questions before we close. Any more taker?
Hi.
Yeah, you'll be the one that causing them for going lunch.
Actually, it won't be his problem. I'll make it as long as possible.
No, now it's his problem. Later on it will be your problem. Okay.
Okay, we are a bunch of educators from Asia Pacific University, Technology Park Mahindra. So my question is basically more on the educational approach on today's topic. And before that, I have to little bit disagree with Mr. Bennett saying that we don't incorporate much of teamwork in our education. In fact, we emphasize on teamwork in our education through lecturing modules, and then coursework assignments, and we emphasize on teamwork. We made it mandatory. We, in fact, award merit for that, for show of good teamwork and so on. So we actually are very aware of current environment, and one of the things that we are striving to do is to match what we teach or what we educate our students on the latest happening on the industry. So my question will be this. What's the biggest difference from probably each and every one of you? What is the biggest difference of your practice of Scrum or Agile in your industry now compared to what you have learned in college? Or what you think that the students are learning in college now? Because we are teaching based on reference books, based on papers published by research and so on. So what's the difference that you think that you're practicing now compared to what we are teaching in college? And if you see a difference, I would really like to know what that we can do to improve our education.
So let me flip some questions back to you. So do you grade individuals or do you grade a team?
We do both.
Okay. So whenever you're teaching classes, do you teach test-driven development? Do you teach automated acceptance testing? Do you teach teams to use continuous integration and version control?
I would say all of that, because we have many modules, and obviously we can't incorporate that in all the modules.
So has anybody graduated recently and had any of those classes? Because I've taught thousands of students, and I've never encountered one who is a recent graduate who's had any of those. It's easy to say we've got a lot of modules. Do you really have those? Because I'm not seeing them at all.
Okay, one of the approach that the only approach that we can do is to give them cases, and we can stimulate or simulate the situations that which are happening in the industry. It will be very good for us to take them into the real industry and actually test them on their teamworks and collaborations and so on in the industry, but we can't do that.
Why?
So
You can do that. I do it all the time. After people graduate,
not for every module. Then we don't have to have a university for that.
So just to add on a little bit, whatever I've studied PMP, studied Scrum, and then once I come back to work and started applying, and sometimes then I find it very difficult because theoretical or books and stuff like that can be very different, and how to apply is a skill that I think should also be incorporated in the education system. How do you apply theory in a practical environment? And that is not easy because everyone that's coming out or that's graduating, the first thing that they always see, and I think a gentleman there said as well, why do you have PMP? Because you use a common sense or logical thinking, but how do you apply the theories, and how do you apply in real life or real case scenarios? It's very interesting, and it really help students to understand and then to go back to your environment and company and then apply theory to realistic projects, for example. So that is one of the biggest challenges that I see.
Okay, so I hope that answers your questions, because yeah, sounds like a complicated topic to me.
Yeah, basically, my question is very simple. Can you suggest a few new approaches that probably we can incorporate in our education system? To basically, our objective is to get the students to be more prepared for the job industry.
You're from APID, is it?
Yes, Asia Pacific University.
You convinced Pranjit to set up a software house, and then you can just put them there, and then
we actually do have an in-house software house.
So the in-house software house, maybe you should turn it to a outsourcing.
They also do outsourcing projects.
Then good, then train, get your staff. You already have the answer.
Just a question. Have you considered asking them to encourage students to go for industrial training?
We do have the program as well.
Can I just know how long is the industrial training they were asking to attend to?
Around 6 months.
6 months. And was there any feedback they get from them when they come back from industrial training?
That's part of their
requirement, is it?
yeah, they have to write a report on whatever experience they have gained from that. Looks like we have the full package.
Well,
Except the students graduate and they go into a company and they can't do anything.
That's my question. Why? What do we do to get them more prepared?
Yeah, so let's talk offline. I can talk to you in detail about some things you do.
Maybe they joined the wrong company. You give them all the right skill, but they joined the wrong company.
Did you teach them about passionate?
Excuse me?
Did you teach them about the passion about their work?
because passion does really matters. It really matters a lot.
Yeah, that's a good job.
And I have another question. If 6 months industrial training is part of the education plan, right? Are they being reluctant to go, or is it just because it's part of the course they're being forced to go? If they are passionate, 6 months is just nothing actually, because they really can use it up. Because currently in my company there are some industrial trainees. There's been 6 of them there, and they all come up with, so far I can see, some of them are there just because they want to fulfill the college's requirement. Some of them are just there because they want to find out what they have learned actually does apply to the real world or not.
Okay, so I guess with that I should hand over to Johnson.
Okay, I'll just pick up straight away. And if you're here, straight away, please come forward here and collect your voucher here. First one person over here is Po Ek Mang. Po Ek Mang, are you here? Okay, good. Next we have is Chris Woon. Chris Woon, please come forward. Next we have M. Adrian Nathan from TCI Tech. Oh, very important from APID. I think you should come for the training. From APID, Kamala Nantan, senior lecturer. Good. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and one more last person. I think this person shouldn't know. He's never got his PMP yet. He's not got his SCRUM yet. He's also a panelist. Kenneth. Kenneth, are you here, Kenneth? Where's Kenneth? Oh, he's gone out. Okay, never mind. If this person is not around, then we'll give someone else. Okay? So we're here. Kenneth, you here? Okay, please come forward. Okay. So good. Okay, these 5 persons we're able to collect the prize over here. They are very lucky ones. Okay, I will keep the cards also, this one. Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, come over here.